This one is a hard no. Hey everybody, welcome back to Fiction Technician. My name is Jane Kalmus. I write historical cozy mysteries, and if you didn't take the hint from the teaser on this video, I don't think you should go to college to learn how to become a writer. Okay, why am I so against this? Do I just hate the idea of a college education? Am I an anti-intellectual? No, not in a million years. Learning is central to my life. I don't think college is the best way to learn to be a writer. It's not the fastest way. It's not the most cost-efficient way, and I don't even think it's the most comprehensive way. So I am going to spend most of this video telling you what I think is wrong with university writing programs and what I think you should do instead. But if you really think that a degree in writing is for you and that's what you want to do, at the end I am going to give you a few questions that you can ask prospective colleges to find out whether they're going to teach writing in a serious and comprehensive way. I have several complaints about the way colleges teach writing, but to explain the largest, I'm just going to ask you to look at this graphic over here on the right. Okay, this shows the 4 pillars of your writing education. The 4 things you really need to learn in order to be the best writer you can. There's practice, just getting a lot of words on the page. There's feedback, presenting your work to other writers so that they can tell you what you've done well and where you can improve. There's the study of craft, learning how to create compelling story structure, learning how to create interesting characters, how to write a satisfying ending to a story, plus anything that's particular to your genre, like world building if you're a fantasy writer, or hiding clues if you're a mystery writer. And last, there was the study of the business of writing, learning about publishing, marketing, and how to build your author platform. And my main problem with college writing programs is that they really only address this pillar. Feedback. To tell you why that is, let me first explain a bit about what an undergraduate writing program actually looks like. When you open up your course catalog, you're not going to see a lot of classes with names like elements of story structure or techniques for creating deep characters. You're not going to see a lot of concrete studies in specific topics writers need to understand. What you will see is a lot of workshops. The classes will be called things like fiction workshop, drama workshop, poetry workshop, and they'll be administered as workshops, which means that the students will write work that will be critiqued in class. Each student will write a little bit of work, maybe 2 stories per semester, and then they'll sit around in a circle and each student will have the opportunity to offer specific praise or criticism of the work of their classmates. And this is all to the good. You'll learn what is working for you, you'll learn how to analyze the work of others, and you'll learn to take criticism on the chin. Okay, my problem with this style of teaching is not that I hate workshops. I think workshops are great. Workshops are necessary but not sufficient to your education as a writer. And it's my belief that this holistic approach to teaching writing is simply not efficient. It's kind of a trial and error approach. Instead of telling you how to do something, your professors say, look, you take a crack at it and then we'll tell you whether you did a good job. And that's just not how we teach almost any other subject. Most of the actual practical techniques that I use every day in my work as a writer are things that I learned through my own self-directed study. This study was comprised of reading books on craft, and you'll find a list of my favorites in the description right down here. Attending private courses run by professional writers. Here I am at Orson Scott Card's Literary Boot Camp. I spent $1,000 on a 1-week intensive workshop with Card, and I know that sounds like a lot until you compare it to the tens of thousands that my parents spent sending me to college. 3, reading blogs, watching YouTube videos, generally digging into everything people had written on the net about writing. And if I were to study writing today, I would add to the list online courses. So when I was going to school, I couldn't spend a couple $100s to take a battery of master classes from writers like Dan Brown, Shonda Rhimes, Neil Gaiman, but my daughter can. And in all honesty, if my daughter came to me at age 15 and said, Mom, I think I want to be a writer, should we look at writing programs? I would say no. I would suggest to her this battery of self-directed study. I would sit her down with 6 of my favorite books on craft. I would help her find 1 or 2 in-person workshop courses that she can take so she can learn how that feedback model works. I'd help her put together a great writing group, and lastly, I'd point her at a few experts who could teach her about the business of writing, like David Gaughran, my favorite self-publishing guru. Check out the link for his website down below, subscribe to his newsletter, and enjoy that thing. And my daughter, if she did all these things, I can almost guarantee you that she'd get farther in 2 years than I got in 4 years of college education. She'd also spend dramatically less. She could spend just a few $1,000s on books and courses compared with the tens or perhaps hundreds of thousands you'll spend on a college education. Now, she wouldn't get the college experience, and for her, and yeah, for me as a parent, that would be a deficit. But remember, just because I'm telling you that you shouldn't expect a college to teach you how to be a writer, that doesn't mean I'm telling you how to spend your time. You may still want to go to college. You could pursue a different degree while teaching yourself writing on the side. You could just enroll in a few courses so that you can learn a little bit about how writing is taught in college without incurring that huge bill. Or you may still want to pursue that writing degree. Maybe you just feel that's right for you. Well, if that's the case, then you are probably interviewing prospective colleges, and I've got a few questions that are going to help you figure out exactly what it is they're going to teach you. I think the most revealing question to ask of prospective colleges are, what are the textbooks? You can ask for the textbooks for particular classes, or you can just go to the bookstore and see what they have recommended for each course. Now, if I'd asked this of my prospective college professors, they'd have told me, well, we don't really have textbooks, but we do have you read a lot of short stories by masters in the field. Alice Munro, Raymond Carver, Tobias Wolff. These are the people I read in school. Your school will probably have an updated list. This isn't bad. It's always good to be aware of the work that's made by the top performers in your field. But if you were going to learn to build airplanes, sure, you might swing by the hangar and see what the work of the best in the business it looks like, but you would also read the assembly manual. If you want your college to teach pillar number 3, the study of craft, they should have some craft books on the list. If you're looking at the list of textbooks and you don't see those craft books, then a follow-up question is you could ask a professor, well, what do you think of craft books like Save the Cat or Sid Field's Screenwriting? These are a couple of books that he should recognize the name of. And if he says anything like, well, I don't want to teach you to write to a formula, that guy does not know what he's talking about. He doesn't. I'm aware that he is probably a published author. He might be a very well-regarded writer. He might even be a great one. But he is not a serious student of writing, and that means he's not equipped to be a comprehensive teacher of it. In fact, formula is a word you should watch out for. Formula or formulaic are the words people tend to use when they want to deride the study of story structure and other elements of writing craft. Because formula, well, it sounds like a recipe, right? It sounds like something prepackaged and not imbued with your own creativity. I would not say that these books teach formula. I would say that they teach craft or technique. And when we phrase it that way, we begin to see how crazy it is to ignore this element of our study. No one would ever tell a painter not to study color theory. Don't bother to learn about perspective or anatomy because you don't want to be painting to a formula. Okay, you can hear how bonkers that sounds, and that's the same reaction you should have when somebody suggests that there is any technique out there that will teach you to write to a formula. No matter what technique you use, no matter what outlining method, you still have to think up every single word on the page. So there's no formula that could possibly make your book anything less than a full-throated expression of your creativity. Another question you can ask is, how many stories am I expected to write in a semester? And this addresses pillar number 1, which is practice. When I went to school, each writing workshop I was enrolled in expected me to produce 2 stories per semester. And looking back, it's honestly a little baffling to me that I went to college for writing and was only encouraged to write a story about once every 2 months. Now, I'm not saying that you can count on college to do everything for you. If you're going to be a writer, you will have to be something of a self-starter. You should be writing more than is strictly required. But the more work they're asking you to put out, the more you'll know that they are serious about creating the kind of environment where you'll have a powerful incentive to practice. The next question you can ask prospective colleges is, I write fantasy, or whatever your favorite genre is. Will my work be taken seriously? And if the answer is something like, well, you can write whatever you choose, but we do think of this as a class in serious fiction, then the answer is no. All right, don't be confused by the well. It's like when my kids see a dog in the park and they want to pet him. I've told them that they need to ask the owner, and there are only 2 answers, yes and, well, something else. Well, he's a little skittish. Well, he's not used to kids. Anything that starts with well means no. It's a nice no because they don't want to be mean to my kids, and you'll get a nice no in response to this question because the people you're talking to don't want to be mean to a young writer. But don't be fooled by the niceness. If the answer isn't yes, it's no. Also, do be sure to ask a few different people about this one. The answer you get really can be skewed based on how much that one person enjoys fantasy. And the last question I want you to ask is, how much class time is spent on the business of writing? Publishing, marketing, platform building. If my college answered this honestly, they would have said 0 time. But why? It has to do with what function you think a college serves. Is it supposed to help you dive deep into learning to seek truth and beauty and intellectual achievement? Or is it supposed to prepare you for a career? In my opinion, it should do both. But frequently, colleges disregard the second in pursuit of the first. So I feel like this video has had a very negative tone, but I want you to understand something. This is the best time in history to learn to be a writer. You have so many resources available to you that I just didn't have even 20 years ago. Online courses, great writing software, and the ability to connect with writers all over the globe. However you go about it, I wish you the best of success in the world. Tech out!